Okay, the multiply polynomial sheet now. Doing this out of order. I know that the first question isn't number 5, but I'm doing them in the order, that because it's mostly binomials. So I wanted to do a single times a triple, monomial meaning 1, and trinomial, right? 3 things. It's ridiculously simple, right? You already did this when you were combining like terms, except you're not going to get anything that will combine. And it's easy to make that mistake. Just one at a time, right? 6 times 3, 18. B1 and B3 make B4. Easy. Then the middle, 6 and -2 make -12. B1 and B2 make B3. My 2 looks funky there. Fix it. And then at the very end, 6 bananas times 1. 6B. Probably a bad choice of letter there because my 6 and my B tend to look similar. So I have to put B and a 6 right next to each other. Now again, yeah, B4, B3, B1. These are not like creatures. They don't go together. I see students do it all the time. They just start adding all this crap up. They'll do 18, take away 12 is 6, and then they'll do 6 plus 6, and they'll do all sorts of weird shit with the powers. Can't do anything with this. It's over. So, but again, the reason that I had that example there was because eventually, like, as you know, you're going to factor this with the greatest common factor. So all this multiplication really is just preparing you to do the factoring, to go in the other direction. So I'll do a bunch of the binomial ones, and then I'll do a bonus binomial, trinomial at the end. Okay, so I've gone back to 2 and 4, skipping 3 for a reason, but I will do 3. So, again, you're multiplying 2 things by 2 things, which means you're going to get 4 things. You are distributing, I'll see people write it a certain way. I'll mention that in a second. You're just taking this and distributing it, right? First, outer. Distribute him first. Distribute him second. I probably shouldn't have made the paper touch the board. There you go. Okay, so cover that up. Y times y makes y squared, not 2y. Y times 5 is 5y. Now, if you want to write it all together, this is fine. I'll do that on that one. I like to go underneath and indent. You do -8 and y. And then you do -8 times 5. And then, the convenience of this is that you just go up and down now, right? Y squared has nothing to combine with. You have 5, you lose 8, you lose 3. Again, watch the signs. Be very careful that you write these signs here. Some people don't write them. And then, how do you know what to put together? You don't write the signs. Now, some students will just say, okay, take y and multiply it by y plus 5, because that is what you're doing, right? Take y, multiply it by y plus 5, and then take this -8 and multiply it by y plus 5. I don't think it's necessary to do this. I mean, if you're covering one up, you're essentially doing the same thing. So I don't see that it's necessary to do that. But some people do it, and as I said many times, if it helps you get it right, if you're comfortable doing it that way, then then do it that way. Here again, you're going to take the 4x. You're going to multiply that through first, then you're going to take this, right? And that's where FOIL comes from. So 4x and 4x makes 16x squared. This time I'm going to write it all across. 4x and 3, use your fingers. You get a positive 12x. Now in the middle here, you get -3 times 4x, that's -12x. And then at the end, you get -3 times +3, which is -9. So you can write it all in one line. This is fine. Positive 12, take away 12 is 0. It's not 1. It's not x. I see students write an x. Students will write this down. They'll put like an x there. It's like you had 12, you lost 12. You don't have any. They're all gone. So those are gone. You just get the 16x squared. You just get the -9. All right. So again, this is not difficult. Just as long as you keep track of your signs, your powers, it's pretty straightforward, right? You only have 4 things to combine. We'll do a couple more. Okay, I decided to skip 3 and do 9 instead because it's a little more interesting than 3 was, but it's the same type of problem. So 6, though, same thing. Multiply the guys in the front, right? -3 times 2 is -6. W and W make W squared. Just do this very slowly if you're having trouble with it. Now the ends, right? First outer, do the outer. -3, -5 make +15. But what about the W? The watermelons go along for the ride. Now, again, if you need to, do this or cover it with your hand, right? You're doing the inner now. -4 times 2W is -8W. And I'm just used to doing it this way, so I do it that way. And then at the end, -4 and -5 make plus 20, right? Negative times a negative is a positive. So then you get -6w squared. You had 15 watermelons, but you ate 8 of them. You ate 8. I love it. So you lost 8 of them. You have 7 left, plus the 20. All right, none of this goes together. You have 2, 1, none with the letters. The letters are always going to go, powers are going to go descending like that. 2, 1, none, always. Now, the easy mistake to make here is to just square this and square this. And I mean, it's the single most common mistake that I see all the time. So, you have to keep in mind what it means when you square something. When you square something, it means that you times it by itself. So you just have to write it down twice, and then it's the same damn thing I'm doing here. Multiplying binomials, that's all it means. Now, there is a formula, and it's beyond ridiculous and absurd that people are doing, the formula. This is a formula. You'd square this, and then you take these two and multiply them and double it. It's absolutely ridiculous, and please don't do this. I want to see, I'm testing to see if you can multiply the binomials correctly. I'm not testing to see if you memorize some dumbass formulas from some other class. This is not what I want. I want to see you multiply it out correctly. So I want to see that you do 2x and 2x makes 4x squared. I'll write one line again, right? So first, right? First guy, and then the outer, right? Just put your finger here and then move your finger there. So you get 6x. Now you go in the middle, right? Inner. Again, 6x, right? You have a positive 3 times a positive 2x. And then at the end, the guy's at the end. Now bring it all down, right? 4x squared. 6x is in 6x. Don't write 12x squared here, right? You have 6 apples and 6 apples. That's 12 apples plus 9. Now, I want to point out, because you're going to go in the other direction. And notice that the guys in the front, when you multiplied the guys in the front, you made the thing in the front of the polynomial. When you multiplied the guys at the end, you made the thing at the end. Where this comes from is the inner and the outer, like your little foil rainbow there. So always remember, the guys in the front make the front. The guys at the end make the end. Because you're going to go in the other direction, and it's helpful. This is the whole purpose of me multiplying right before factoring, is so that you understand how the polynomial is built. So you will be able to go in the other direction and go from here to here, or you'll go from here to there. You'll understand how it's built so you can take it apart and go in the other direction. All right, so I'm going to do one more complicated one with 2 letters. All right, I decided to do 2 of them that have 2 letters because one of them is known as a difference of squares. You'll see. So this is a lot more complicated because you have more letters to deal with. So, but the process is the same. First, outer, inner, last. You're always doing this, right? This is where it comes from. You're doing well. This is why I took my paper here. You're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is where you get your 4 terms from. So first, -3 and -5, when you times them, get 15. M times M is M squared. That's it. -3 times 2 is -6 MP. Now you're gonna have to be careful here in a minute, right? So again, use the paper if you want. I'm doing the inner. I know that -4 and -5 make positive 20 when I multiply them. Now, if you put PM, this is fine. It's PM, AM. The problem is that you may look at these and not see them as the same. But remember that no matter what you times together, multiplication goes both ways. Multiplication is commutative. So MP and PM are identical. So why not just write it in alphabetical order? LMNOP. So you want to write them so they look the same. So you don't get confused and think that they're different and that you can't combine them. That's why I'm doing the example with the 2 letters. And then you do -4 times positive 2, that's -8. And then P times P is P squared. That's why a lot of people get this wrong. They didn't have the P squared there. And then just go through, right? This one drops. This one drops. And then in the middle, right? So you get 20 MPs, take away 6 of them. That gives you 14 MPs. That's still there, right? The letters don't change and they don't go away. At this point, when you're doing the adding, subtracting, nothing changes. The powers don't change, right? You're just adding and subtracting the numbers in the front. Everything else will stay the same. So here, again, you have a, I mean, if you look at this, you have a 7x and a 7x. You have a plus y, you have a minus y. They're almost exactly the same, except they are off by 1 minus sign. The sign is different. So this is what makes the middles cross out. You get 7x times 7x is 49x squared. Now outer, right? That's first, outer. You get 7x times negative y. So you got to keep the 7, x, y, letters. Same thing in the middle. You have a everything is positive here. Plus 7 plus y. So you're going to get a positive 7, x, y, alphabetical order. And then positive y times negative y is negative y squared, right? A positive times a negative is a negative. You have 7, you lose 7. These cross out. This is 0. It's not 1. It's not xy. So 49x squared drops down, and the negative y squared drops down. Again, very simple. Just be careful with, crossing out. Be careful with the signs. Number one mistake, the signs. All right, so now I am going to do a double times a triple as the last one, just so I've done one. Okay, so I decided to do number 17, binomial, trinomial, and it's a good practice problem to do. Again, just like before, I don't know if this is going to be big enough. You're gonna take the 3y and go 1, 2, 3, right? You can distribute this to all 3 things, so you're gonna get 3. Then you're gonna take this one and go 1, 2, 3, and get 3 more. So you're gonna get a total of 6 terms, and a lot of them will combine together. So this is why I like to line this one vertically. So you'll see that that's what I do. So again, I'm gonna go boom, boom, boom. Use my fingers as a guide, right? 3 times 2 is 6. y1 times y2 is y3. Very careful. Be very careful. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. y1 and y1, when you multiply them, make y2. And then 3y times negative 1, well, hello. That's pretty easy. Get negative 3y. All right, just hit it with a -1. So now that's gone. No more. So I'm going to go multiply those. Positive 2 times positive 2y squared is a positive 4y squared, right? 2 times 2, and the y squared goes along to the right. Then you have a positive 2 times a negative 4. That's negative 8, and the y goes along to the right. See how they're going to line up? And then positive 2 times negative 1. That's the easy part. So you have 3, 2, 1, none. The powers will always do this. They will go in descending order, starting at whatever the highest one is. So 3, 2, 1, none. So when you add them up, you make sure your powers have that. Now, nothing's going to cross out here. I think in the previous example, one of them crossed out. I think the squared term. You got 6y3. You have negative 12y squareds, but I give you back 4. So now you're down 8 of that creature, the y squared creature. You lose 3 yams, and then you lose 8 more yams, whatever. You lose 11 yams, and then the -2. So 3, 2, 1, none. All right, so that's the binomial and the trinomial, or I call it the double and the triple. All right, so again, none of this is that difficult. The whole real purpose of doing this topic was to prepare you for the factoring. So going in reverse is much, much harder. This is not one you'd be able to go, if I took all this away and I took this away and I told you to factor this, you have no hope. You're going to be factoring things that have squares in it. So, you're going to write them as products of either binomials or a monomial and a binomial. So that's what this topic was a precursor to. All right, so hopefully found it helpful if you needed it.